So the field for the 105th Indianapolis 500 was officially set today as the last row shootout and the Fast 9 shootout took place today. So we're going to get right into those. And also at the end, we're going to talk about the practice session 2 hours long that took place an hour after that. So let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off, you've got your last row shootout cars. Those were Sage Karam, Will Power, Simona De Silvestro, Charlie Kimball, and R.C. Enerson. Today, there were going to be 2 cars going home. 3 cars would make the race, 2 would go home. Now, I had predicted Charlie Kimball and R.C. Enerson would go home, just because those had been the 2 slowest cars throughout the week, and Karam looked like he was the fastest car in the last row shootout, and Power and Simona De Silvestro looked like they had the advantage of being Penske cars. They had other people to bounce setups off of that were much faster than the Foyt cars that Kimball had, and just R.C. Enerson with his own one-car team. Looked like it was going to be very likely that Kimball and Enerson were knocked out, and that is what ended up happening. Sage Karam will start 31st with a lap average of 2:29.156, Power 32nd with a 2:28.876, Simona De Silvestro 33rd with a 2:28.353, Charlie Kimball 34th with a 2:27.584, and R.C. Enerson 35th with a 2:26.813. So, talking about how this actually went, all 5 cars went out at the start, and Will Power actually had a very interesting run. He was 3 laps in, and the car was really loose. They were having a lot of trouble with getting the rear end to stick, and he was significantly behind Karam on the timing charts. And then on the 4th lap, coming out of turn 2, he lost the back end and slapped the wall a little bit. It might have been to toe link or a suspension rod or something. They didn't exactly specify, but Will Power was able to continue for the next 2 corners after that. Surprisingly, he kept his foot in the throttle, didn't have any issues with losing the car, which was actually quite risky, because if he put the thing in the wall, he was out of the race. There's no provisions for, if he crashes, he gets to run again tomorrow or something. If he crashed it, he's done. So very risky by Will Power to keep his foot in the throttle just to keep his chance at being in the 500. That was really all that happened in that last row shootout. There was the 5 cars that went, and then right at the end, the 2 people that were still out of the race, R.C. Enerson and Charlie Kimball, both went out one more time, and nothing happened with that. They both missed the race. I think Enerson almost had I thought that was going to happen. That kind of expected that, especially with the week that they had. They had issues the whole week trying to get out, and then later on in the week, they literally had times where they could have gotten out, and they just didn't. And Kimball his team maximized their opportunity to get out and run well. They just couldn't get the car to run well. So that was interesting from Charlie Kimball. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next thing that happened, the Fast 9 shootout. Big times, big speeds, whatever, going for pole. It was quite an interesting session. Going for the pole, really the 4 guys that were competing for the pole were Dixon, Herta, VK, and Carpenter were the 4 fastest guys. And how that actually happened, Marcus Ericsson went first and was 9th with a 2:30.318. Next up was Ryan Hunter-Reay. He stuck at 7th with a 2:30.499. Next up was Alex Palou with a 2:30.616 that put him 6th. Next up was Elio with a 2:30.355, which put him 8th. Then Rinus VK, who ran a 2:31.511 and put him 3rd. Carpenter was next out, and he went 2:31.504, just a little bit behind VK, and got 4th. And then Herta, 2nd, with a 2:31.655, and Dixon won the pole with a 2:31.685. I know that was confusing. I'll go ahead and read that again. Dixon first, 231.685. Herta second, 231.655. Third, Renus VK, 231.511. Fourth, Ed Carpenter, 231.504. Fifth, Tony Kanaan, 231.032. Sixth, Alex Pillow, 230.616. Seventh, Ryan Hunter-Ray, 230.499. Eighth, Elio Castro-Neves, 230.355. And ninth, Marcus Ericsson with a 230.318. Yeah, so it was actually quite interesting because you had, really in the last 5 cars, I mean, discounting Tony Kanaan, you had 4 out of the last 5 cars that really looked like they were competing for pole. You had VK go out and set a 231.5, and then Carpenter went out, and for the first 3 laps or so, it looked like Carpenter was about to beat VK. And then on the last lap, he lost enough time that VK got his boss by 7 thousandths of a mile an hour. Quite small margins here for an entire row of the grid different. And I've got marker on my hand. I was drawing a racetrack or whatever. So, and then you had Colton Herta go out and stick up a 231.655. That looked like it might be untouchable, but Dixon came out and knocked up some obnoxious laps, but also was very inconsistent. By the end of the run, he was down into the 229s, but it was just enough to edge Herta by 3/100ths of a mile an hour over a 4-lap average. Quite an interesting run for Dixon. Let's go ahead and look at the practice session that happened after that. I'm only going to read off the top 5 and the fastest no-toe time because there's not exactly much else that happened. That wasn't a very interesting session. It was just kind of, how that went. You had Alex Pillow first with a 225.649. Marcus Ericsson second with a 225.632. Connor Daly third with a 225.453. Tony Kanaan fourth with a... Oh, I messed up the time here. Sorry, I had a little issue with my scoring table here. Tony Kanaan was fourth with a speed of 225.431. Scott Dixon was fifth with a speed of 224.802. And the fastest no-toe time of the session was Alexander Rossi with a 221.042. So other notable things that happened today were Simon Pagenaud blowing an engine in the middle of the practice. They'll be able to change that engine for the session on Friday and eventually the Indy 500 the way the rules work, but that will be something that sets them back an hour and a half of practice. Yeah, not really much else to talk about like that. It shouldn't affect them much more than the hour and a half less of running time, but yeah, definitely interesting that they ended up blowing a motor. Simon had actually said he was having a slight vibration before that, so he had some bit of warning that it might happen, but yeah, interesting to see that Pagenaud actually managed to blow an engine. Maybe it was something they damaged the motor in qualifying. Who knows? Really, the only thing I can discuss about this is the Ganassi cars. The Ganassi cars are fast. They were fast in qualifying. They had all 4 of their cars in the Fast 9, and it looks like they're going to continue that for the race. You had Pillow, Ericsson, Kanaan, Dixon, 4 out of the 5. Connor Daly was third, splitting the middle of that, which is another thing actually to talk about. Connor Daly, Carpenter seems like they have medium to fast race cars. Connor Daly, though, looks like he's been on the top of these charts for like when they've had these race practice sessions with Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then now this one. Daly has been on the leaderboard every time. He's third today. Yeah. And Rossi's been in the no-toe times, leading quite a lot as well. I'd say very good chance that... I'd say contenders are probably the Ganassi cars, Daly, maybe some Andretti cars like Herta or Rossi, Pagenaud. There's quite a lot of contenders to think about. Obviously, you've got Sato, Rahal, some of the Rahal cars in general. Very likely that they could factor into this for the 500. I think we have a very good... I think we'll have a good race. I think the guys have made it seem like it's easier, not easy, but easier to pass than last year or whatever. I think they had made some adjustment to the diffuser, but yeah, I think that'll be cool to watch, see how it develops over the next week. I guess we've got 1 week to the 500. So that's all I have for today. I'll obviously be back for Carb Day, but I think before that, or maybe after that, I don't know, I'm going to be releasing a starting grid video where I run down the entire starting grid, discuss some storylines for every driver, and yeah, do all that stuff. That'll be a video whenever I post it. Have notifications turned on, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you can do that. That'll be in my opinion, that'll be a fun video to watch. I'm going to try to put a lot of effort into that one. I'm not going to rush that video. I think that I really want to try hard on that one because I think that'll be a good video to watch or whatever. And I want to make it a good video to watch. So that video, I'll say it comes out Saturday. How about Legends Day comes out? So Saturday, Legends Day, whatever you call it. The video will be out for the starting grid for the 100th Indy 500. That's all I have for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all. I might have something during the week, but I know I'll be doing a review of Carb Day on Friday. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all then. Bye.